Hey guys, so Black Ops 4 has been out for a few days now, and I wanted to do a video about my initial impressions of multiplayer after a good while of playing, but before any major changes really come to the mode. Multiplayer was probably the mode I was most worried about in Black Ops 4. Blackout is COD's first foray into Battle Royale, and it seems a lot of people enjoyed the beta, and zombies has always been a fun experience. The Black Ops 4 multiplayer beta definitely received some heavy criticism, and I wanted to play it in the full release and get my own perspective in the first week to kind of formulate my own opinion on it. Considering how vocal I've been in the past, both privately and publicly, about Call of Duty multiplayer, and considering the last COD multiplayer I actually enjoyed was, believe it or not, Infinite Warfare, and then Black Ops 2 before that, I thought Black Ops 4 would have to do a lot of things right to win me over. So, let's start right at the top with the new core focus of Black Ops 4 multiplayer: teamwork. Black Ops 4 brings back specialists to try and drive teamwork in a franchise that has always been about as casual as you can get. The results? Middling at best. Specialists do feel a bit better this time around, with the specialist equipment being a utility that, in general speaking, never really seems too powerful, and specialist abilities require a long cooldown period between uses. So far I've played the majority of my time in Black Ops 4 with Firebreak, Crash, Nomad and Ruin. Firebreak fortunately isn't completely broken this time around, though his ability to prevent healing is ever so slightly very infuriating. This is a concept that Prophet shares too, with his abilities relying on stun mechanics rather than actual direct killing potential. I think Treyarch are looking in the right direction with specialists this year, with many specialists being designated specific roles dictated by their equipment and abilities. Firebreak serves as an area denial operative, Crash is your medic, Nomad is more of a ambusher and trapper, Ajax is a tank, Torque is the defensive specialist, and most of the other specialists end up being straight up fraggers. Not of course that there is, really anything wrong with that. I kind of feel like Treyarch weren't really sure how far to push specialists though. I'm sorry to say it, but teamwork in COD will never really be a big thing outside of competitive tournaments and maybe league matches. The specialists in Black Ops 4 feel less like parts of a team and more like choices that stand alone from the whole concept of a team. The best example of this is probably Crash, the game's quote-unquote medic. He has the ability to drop assault packs to his teammates which resupply ammo and provide bonus points on kills, but this is a very passive ability affected by spawns, which is something I'll touch on again later. His specialist ability is the TAC-5, a handheld device that boosts his own health, along with his teammates, whilst also removing wounds such as Firebreak's burns. Whilst on the surface he benefits his team, his contribution to the effort is really quite subjective. Seeing as he has no direct player-to-player support ability, it feels like Crash's medic abilities are more a byproduct of playing the game, rather than, say, an intentional choice. The same rings true for a lot of other specialists, with their abilities feeling more like a byproduct of just playing the game rather than a conscious effort to act as a certain role. Is this a bad thing? It's not really. Whilst I have no doubt it's possible to combine multiple abilities into a tactic that involves heavy teamwork, as a solo player, it feels like the specialists in Black Ops 4 just kind of happen to fall into their role, rather than being built around it from the ground up. I think this is probably the best approach COD could take in a push for teamwork, though I would say it could be a bit more rewarding to play as a couple of the specialists that currently feel a tad underwhelming. My best example is Torque, whose abilities require both decent map knowledge and game sense, yet he gains no points from actively deploying his abilities. Whilst, don't get me wrong, he shouldn't be a point machine like Crash can be, it would be nice to see a small reward just for deploying your abilities as Torque. Overall though, I think specialists have been done pretty well. I don't think things like denying healing and stun mechanics really have a place in Call of Duty. It feels really out of place, and it doesn't feel good to be hit by, especially when Prophet stuns you and you're just there like writhing around the ground for 5-10 seconds, or even worse, stood up whilst being electrocuted. But overall it's not bad. Our next point to touch on is maps. Black Ops 4 features 14 maps, with 4 of them being remastered from previous Black Ops games. Whilst the choices of remastered maps have been mostly good, I don't know whether it's just me, but they just never feel as good as they did in the old titles. With all the new additions and abilities, I'm going to say remaster maps should probably just be left alone for the most part. Yes, maps like Summit and Jungle are fan favourites, and yes, it definitely triggers the nostalgia when you get put onto Summit or Firing Range, but I don't know, I just think COD has moved on too much for these maps to be truly as good as they once were. The new maps in the game, though, all seem, well, pretty good. All of them seem to have been built with a distinct attention to detail, with every map boasting impressive lines of sight, flank spots, and map features without really feeling too stale or too overwhelming. If anything, I'd say Morocco feels like the busiest map in the game at the moment, in the sense that it sometimes feels like you kind of need to have eyes in the back of your head due to all the alleyways and verticality of the arena. It's not so bad that it's egregious, it's just a tad hectic at times. Overall, I'd say map design in Black Ops 4 though is pretty good. So, onto weapon balance. This is kind of a make or break for many players, and I'm going to be talking with respect to the 150 health manual heal system in this segment. Weapons feel and sound strong without exception, from the ICR to the Titan, even to the Strife pistol. They all feel and look great. However, balancing at the moment kind of feels weird in respect to the healing system. Weapons feel like they kill relatively quickly, so it never really feels like much has changed in terms of the health mechanic, especially if you're hitting the chest or the head, with certain weapons like the ICR or the Rampart 17 shining as some of the best guns in the game right now. The ICR feels like a long-range death laser, the kick is minimal, and whilst the damage is, well, nothing special, it's extremely accurate and very strong at range. The Rampart 17 it's something like a Scar, boasting heavy recoil as a trade-off for absolutely insane damage. Honestly, the Rampart feels a little bit broken right now, with high caliber being a low level unlock for the gun. It's almost too easy to force the gun to recoil up from centre mass to the head. I know this firsthand. I've accumulated 40 plus headshots with the Rampart in probably just over an hour of gameplay with it, and trust me when I tell you that I cannot hit headshots for the life of me. Whilst it's definitely fun to play with really powerful weapons, games like Infinite Warfare struck a good balance with most guns being viable. I think it's something that Black Ops 4 could benefit from trying to emulate. I'm sure we'll probably see more balancing patches in the future, and hopefully this will kind of even out the variance between how good certain guns are. Looking back at healing, it feels weird. I wouldn't say out of place, healing has pretty much become second nature now, but it really feels like it slows down the game in a bad way sometimes. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Black Ops 4 suits a blistering pace. I think the game encourages that sort of playstyle in its movement and gunplay. However, sometimes it feels like having to double back and hold your ground to heal, whilst only taking a few seconds if that, can throw your momentum off completely. The risk of continuing to push forward whilst healing is a great one, with death being almost guaranteed if you're either caught in the middle of the healing animation or before you are fully healed. Overall though, healing is much less of an abrasive feature than I thought it would be. It definitely becomes second nature very quickly. I just kind of feel that sometimes it breaks what is otherwise a great flow of gameplay. Spawns in Black Ops 4 are, to be honest, not great. Even in modes like Domination, where spawns are usually dictated by flags held, they're just kind of all over the place. It's been brought up a few times over on the Black Ops 4 Reddit, and Treyarch are already trying to fix the spawns with a patch for Domination, having already deployed a few days ago. As someone who plays mainly TDM, the spawns are just straight up weird sometimes, flipping and changing without much rhyme or reason. I've killed people, ran around a corner and killed them off a spawn before, and I've killed someone, turned around and got blasted 15 seconds later by the same person that spawned behind me. Spawns really aren't great at the moment, but Treyarch does seem to be working on it. I'd say this is probably one of the most important features to fix. Spawns can absolutely ruin a game, and if they can fix it and make it at least reasonably consistent without being too predictable, that's probably what they should aim for. Matchmaking in Black Ops 4 it's a bit strange at the moment. It seems that currently the game will tend to put more lower levels on the same team and more slightly higher levels on another team. At this stage of release, level doesn't really mean a whole lot, especially considering we're in double XP, so it's been really easy to level up. And stats are, I'd say, somewhat inaccurate due to a low sample size for the stats, so matchmaking is just a bit weird occasionally. Sometimes the teams will be decently balanced, and I feel like that is the majority of the time, and it does feel good. And sometimes you will just be completely outmatched, but I don't think that's anything really new for COD. This is one of those things that I'm personally putting down to where we are in the launch cycle, and hopefully as people's stats start to fully flesh themselves out and such, we can see matches that become a bit more fairer in the general scheme of things and well balanced in the overall sense. I haven't really been match-made into many laggy games yet either. It seems that the system that decides which server you're going to is a fairly decent one. I've managed to avoid any dodgy connection issues, though I know some other people haven't been as fortunate. Considering I use Wi-Fi on my PS4 opposed to Ethernet, I'm pretty happy with how the Black Ops 4 servers have been performing, for me anyway. Occasionally it does feel like sometimes you get shot around a corner though, and I do mean very, very occasionally. It probably happens once every couple of matches maybe. Maybe this is an issue with certain players being a little bit laggier than others and lag compensation taking effect, or it could simply be the tick rate of the servers. I'm not 100% sure, but if it is the tick rate, it would be nice to see a slight increase in the future, just to avoid bullets occasionally bending around corners. Finally, something I'd like to see in Black Ops 4 would be an experimental mode. Use it kind of like a pre-launch test server to try new things out with mechanics before pushing them straight into the live game. Or, seeing as we're now on Battle.net, simply just invest in a PTR system for PC players. Just, I want to see Treyarch try new and weird things, but just don't do an Overwatch and add them to the game regardless of community comments. Anyway, that is about all for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, leave a like below. Let me know if you're finding Black Ops 4 good so far, how you're feeling about it, or if you're maybe still thinking about buying it. We have a brand new Discord open as well. It's welcome for anybody to join. The link is either in the description of this video or on my channel banner. You can join through either of those. Absolutely anybody's welcome to join. You can, join up, chat to us, find people to play with, play some games on your own, listen to some music, chat, whatever. And you can always comment on stuff you'd like to see in new videos. Whilst you're there, don't forget to check out the channel and subscribe if you like the content you see. There is a lot more Black Ops 4 content coming, along with content for other games coming soon, like Red Dead Redemption 2 and, so on and so forth. Big releases like that. I feel like Black Ops 4 is going to take up a lot of time on this channel, but so far I'm enjoying the game a lot. So, again, do subscribe and turn on post notifications to be the first to see the next video and join us on the road to 10,000 subscribers. Again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.